Tiara, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Oh, I'm actually pretty damn good. We
Yeah.
How and you?
I mean, we're on vacation, so I'm pretty damn good right now.
How are you now? Coming from Portland for the first time.
No, second time.
First time from Portland. Last time
we were at the
was
beach.
Moclips.
That's right. That was Moclips. I forgot about that.
So yeah, we're going to be covering the season 5, episode 4, Letterkenny Spelling Bee today. Before we get going too far, our music today is by a solo artist named Valak out of Manitoba. 18-year-old solo artist,
so
doing
crazy.
some amazing fucking music. You've heard it in the intro now. You'll hear it again at the outro, but I definitely recommend that you go check them out. I'll have all the show notes, all their information in the show notes. So right now, why don't we go ahead and introduce our guest? You have, unless you had anything else pre-show. All right. So our guests today, we actually have two, Erin McCollum and Katie Forget. How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad.
Oh, that worked nice.
That was perfect.
So
we didn't plan that, by the way.
Tell us about yourselves.
Well, my name's Erin McCollum, and that's totally like it sounds funny when you introduced me as that, because I haven't gone by that name in a little while, because
right.
it threw me off a little bit. No, but my name is Erin McCollum. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I am a diehard Letterkenny fan. And Katie?
So my name's Katie. I am Erin's girlfriend, and I originally hail from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I've been living in the States for most of my life, but I go back all the time. I'm as Canadian as they come.
I was about to ask you if you lost a bet.
You know what? Some days it feels like it. It really does.
Yeah, I feel it. I understand.
But you know what? I got the best consolation prize I could think of.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Get out.
I would concur. That's a pretty good consolation prize.
Oh my God, you guys are all funny.
So
figure it out.
Figure it out. Pull your finger out of your ass.
Yeah, right.
I mean, unless there's consent. But
you're 10 ply, bud.
But anyway, so I work as a car sales associate.
Nice.
Selling Toyotas.
And I'm a nanny, by the way.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
Tiara used to do that.
Yep.
Yeah. I see that. And well, you guys work in mental health as well, don't you?
In a way I
do.
I
should say you're involved. You're
yes.
activist. You're very active.
Oh yes. Very much.
And the kids that I work with, I do social emotional learning. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, what did you say?
I was just saying the kids that I work with, I do social emotional learning, which essentially is mental health care. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So
that's so great.
Tell us your Letterkenny origin story.
Well, actually, perfect that we're on the subject of mental health.
Yes.
I'm an open book here, and I'll be honest, that I struggle with mental health, and that's kind of where it's exactly where I was introduced to Letterkenny. I was in a really bad spot at the time, in my life, and I was like, escapism. We tend to escape into media and the culture, and whatnot. It's just, you know absolutely what I'm talking about. So it was actually, I was watching Trailer Park Boys, and I grew up watching that with my brother. Oh my God. You guys like Trailer Parks?
I've only seen a few episodes of it. It's pretty good, but then I caught it because I was watching Letterkenny, and because I do what I do with Letterkenny, it was hard to keep up on it because I'm constantly having to keep up notes and watch Letterkenny time and time again so I can make sure I have all my ducks in a row and T's dotted and I's crossed.
Yep.
Oh. No, that makes perfect sense. Like it's hard. Like looking back, it's like I still watch Letterkenny over and over and pick up on new stuff every single time. I know we've talked about that before. Like it never ceases to amaze me the brilliancy of the writing. But just going back to my main point is it actually from Trailer Park Boys, I on YouTube, I ran Letterkenny Problems, the channel, and saw episode 1, and I was hooked. And it honestly, it pulled me out of my darkness. And it would be a little far fetched to be like, oh, Letterkenny saved my life or something. But no, what it was, it shined light upon, when it comes down to it, I believe that, well, comedy's the pursuit of truth. And I grew up super conservative and brainwashed in like a Baptist bullshit school. And it was traumatizing. I mean, I was raised as that I was a stumbling block for men. And that was, my role. And that also ties into why I know we've talked about Tanis being my favorite matriarchal character. But ultimately, it radicalized me. It opened my eyes, and so that's where I start with Letterkenny. And then, I'll give this over to Katie now, because that's what she's Canadian.
It's a little bit, that's kind of a hard thing to follow, because literally, so my introduction to Letterkenny was very, very not very long ago.
Yeah, it
was only a few, when me and Erin started dating.
3 weeks ago?
No.
You started dating 3 weeks ago?
No, okay. No.
I mean, no judgment, but
no. She means like when we first well, let's not use terms like that for a second, because they're like American definitions versus Canadian. Like that's all. It's not. It's just timeline wise, it really was. When it was about 2 months ago. Yeah, when I watched
the
it.
Interesting thing about it is just because of the fact that as a Canadian living in the United States, you get a lot of people who don't know the first thing about Canada. Right. And so it's just like, to try to explain to Americans that you have like, just your cowboy hickish type people all over Canada, because most of Canada is fucking empty and there's nothing else to do but drink and do dumb shit.
Yep.
That's the thing is that, I was talking to Erin about it, and that ended up striking a chord, and she was like, oh my God, you need to see this. And it was absolutely that. I'm like, oh my God, this is rural, this is rural Canadian life for sure.
Yeah. I would say, and it compares in some, like Quebec, I would say compares with Texas in that aspect, in that they're always talking about separating. And
oh yeah, true. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Wow, yeah.
Because I come from Texas, so I noticed some similarities. Wow, yeah, that's where I'm originally from.
And your ex's family is from the
my ex-wife she was born here.
I didn't know you were had an ex-wife too.
Yeah, but she grew.
She was born here.
she was born in this. She was born in Portland here, but actually raised in Calgary.
Oh, how neat.
So her sister was actually born there. So they're them damn Albertans.
Yep.
So.
He got that from me, by the way.
And
that's a my familyism right there. The damn Albertans, because my family's in BC.
Really?
So,
you should see Katie's face right now. She's very she's laughing.
That's all good. And you know what I like about this? This is our first Miss Katie's on the show.
Oh, it is.
Oh my God, Miss Katie. That's so true. And you know what? That's funny, because this was the cutest thing ever. We were watching Letterkenny for the first time together here, and I think it was just the second episode. Sorry, I'm starting to talk with her accent because it's
Same.
Bad.
I do.
Yeah.
It. Yep.
You get it. We were sitting here, and she was looking down at her phone, and Wayne goes, Katie, and just she looks up immediately, and like at the TV, and I was just like, oh my God, like it was really funny. So I was like, that was my favorite Katie in the world now, like you are. So
yay.
I like that.
Yeah, we're all about the gross ass, like
yes.
I'm feeling like super soft like dairy right now.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And that's another.
Yeah, Dan is very much the same way too.
Well, I mean, and if you've listened to us, we're gross all the time. Oh, yeah. It's all good.
I love it.
It's all good.
Well, speaking about us, how did you find us?
Oh, yeah.
How did you hear about us and start listening?
Actually, I found you guys on Twitter. Yeah, and I hadn't been on Twitter forever. Like my account was still there. I just hadn't gone on, and was inactive, and I got back online because I told you because of the whole. It was because of my divorce with my ex-husband that I was in this bad state and with my mental health. So I was like, it was just this blur of suicidal ideation and crap. And then I got back online to connect with community, and I found you guys, and
yay,
la-di-da.
we appreciates that about you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that about you too.
Is that what you appreciates about us?
Yes. So, you have anything you'd like to plug? If not, that's totally fine. But
I know you guys usually do plugs for like whatever you want to. Like the organizations or something like that. That's not the word I'm looking for. But honestly, I just want to plug the whole Letterkenny family and cast, including you guys and the fan base. No, I mean, seriously, like this community is so super soft in the best way possible. Like that we're all here for each other. And it's just like, it's so different, the stark contrast of like the Canadian culture versus American. And just, and when I had quoted originally that comedy being the pursuit of truth, like that, and that comes down to it. Like it's just enlightening enlightenment. And so I just wanted to shout out, Jacob Tierney, Jared Kiso. I could list every one of you guys, but just thank you for being you. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for existing, because that's what I appreciate about you.
Hallelujahs.
So I'll leave it at that.
Nice.
So let's start get into it. Well, first we have a quick give our own little recap of Hard Right J. Yay. season 5, episode 3. I know
not my least favorite episode.
No, it's definitely not.
It's actually really interesting.
It's got a good message.
Yeah.
Message
that gets constantly screwed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I originally wanted to do that one with you guys, remember? And then you're like,
a lot of people really wanted to do that episode.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's I think it's a episode with a good message it's a hard message, but it's done and the only way you could comedically do it. And I mean, the people who were involved, I mean, I like how the Hicks were, we've got your back if you need us. We're going to be there, and if you call us in, we're there. But it's you guys. This is your message. So referring to the natives, that it was, this is your fight. But we got your back for sure. And as soon as like, you and what army? And she points, these guys.
Right. And they come flying in.
And Dan just comes in and takes out 3 of them at once. Like,
which in my mind really like leads into this episode in the beginning, what they're talking about. I think that's a really that really fits, because they don't want to fight.
Yeah.
But if they have to, they're gonna.
Right.
And then this episode starts with them talking about, we don't want to fight, but if we had to.
Right.
Well, in fairness, it was actually
to be fair,
yes. It was actually what was it? Derry was the only one who didn't want to fight. Squirrely Dan's like, I'll take you out back. Like, I'll take your crap out of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into the Letterkenny Spelling Bee, shall we? So we start at the Ukrainian Center, as we have been recently, and then the skids are all there. Bonnie McMurray's there, so we start with the discussion about who'd win in a fight between Dan and Derry. Everyone pretty much thinks that it would be Dan who would win. Then Tyson and Joint Boy show up. They ask Tyson. Tyson says Derry because he's got a longer reach and some other, a few other things.
Above pulling hair and
nut shot. Yeah.
Nut shot.
They ask JB. He says Squirrely Dan. Why? Because he's squirrely.
Right.
And then Bonnie asks,
"Who do you think would win in a fight between you two?"
Me? You? Me.
See, now there's a good friend.
Best kind of that line in the show, I think.
Yeah.
So far.
I use that GIF quite often. See, now there's
I think
a good
everybody
friend.
does.
Yeah.
This episode had so many gifts that we see everywhere now.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like we Letterkenny people just speak in gifts at this point. It's just like it's fantastic.
Yes.
I am absolutely the first person to say that my love language is memes. I know that I've said that before.
Amen.
Like, I see one that makes me think of you. I'm going to share that with you. That's me sharing love.
Yeah, that's great. Feel free to send all the love you want.
Yes.
So after the intro, we end up at the kitchen. Wayne, Derry, and Squirrely Dan are all playing cribbage, and they finish their round. And Derry says, "Let's hang on a sec here. Am I looking the right way? Yeah, there we go."
Where's Katie been all day?
Yeah, you're fucking mine.
What are you, sleepwalking, Daryl?
In the words of legendary Canadian singer-songwriter Alanis Morissette, you ought to know. In the words of legendary Canadian songwriter Greg Keeler of Blue Rodeo, hasn't hit me yet.
Well, in the words of Jim Cuddy, also of iconic Canadian rock bands Blue Rodeo, try.
In the words of Grammy Award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter Sarah McLachlan, you're building a mystery. In the words of genre-bending Canadian indie rock band Arcade Fire, wake up. In the words of multi-international award-winning songstress Celine Dion, it's all coming back to me now. And? In the words of Canadian pop star and heartthrob Justin Bieber, is it too late now to say sorry?
And?
In the words of multi-Juno award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter Bryan Adams, please forgive me.
Good people makes mistakes, Darren.
How do you forget about the Letterkenny Adult Spelling Bee? And how much it means to Katie? You call yourself a friend.
Now, Wayne's.
You're right, Dan. I'm sorry, dear.
It's okay, good buddy.
It's just that I wish I could take some of her pain from last year and put it on myself, you know?
That is very much me.
Oh God, yes.
Well, I think it's really interesting here in that, you know, in a lot of in pretty well through this series. I mean, you can obviously tell that there's a good relationship between Wayne and Katie. I mean, he obviously cares quite a bit for her, but I think that this is the first time that we ever see him like actually get dramatic about it.
Yeah, he
and
got
I think
emotional.
Yeah, I think that's a part of the humor. I think it's like, you know, overplaying it. But I think that like
unsnapping the shirt,
especially
that's
going
exactly. It was like, whoa, okay. It, just one quick side note, it reminds me of, you know, Squirrely Dan and the dudes that Katie brings back from the city, the freaking
Shep and Kingsley.
Yes, and you know, and how Wayne constantly like just like put a fucking shirt on, and it's like so. Kingsley, where the fuck's your shirt? But yeah, it
those
just
are dogs' names.
Exactly. So for Wayne to like open his shirt like that is like a sign of vulnerability.
Oh my God.
It's not even.
Well, it makes sense that it's about Katie. Like the only person in his life that he ever really gets emotional about is Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So I love how it was like at this point in all of these seasons, they're like, yeah, we know what you think about us. We're just going to do it a little bit more than we have been. He rips open his shirt. It's like, okay.
So
I think it's an interesting thing.
It's like, is he getting near rock bottom?
Well, I think it's an
Does
interesting...
he get naked at rock bottom? What happens to Wayne? I don't even want to think about that. Sorry.
That's all right. It's just, I think it's an interesting thing where it's like, it's such a contrast from like the hard, cold open to like setting that tone right away.
Yeah.
And I loved the way that they did that because it's such a
stark
quick
contrast.
Well, it's such a hard turn.
Yeah.
You could say it's a hard right turn.
It goes to show like the true mental process and everything kind of and just the way Wayne reacts. But yeah, good.
Yeah. So we find out that she has been beaten in the last year by Stuart, whose name we don't mention in this house anymore.
She had been a 9-time winner up until that point.
Yeah. So they make a pact to help her out.
Yep.
And they do the shots. And then now we cut to the hockey barn, where Riley and Jonesy are coming in to the locker room, and we start with.
Okay, girls.
Girls?
That's what I said.
Who you calling girls?
No, we mean women.
Yes.
That is my bad. I am sorry. It is an old habit. See, we call the men on our team boys, so I just...
It's completely inappropriate.
Okay.
Marianne over there is not a girl. When's the last time you saw a girl's tits sag so low she could tuck them into her joggers?
You're right, Betty Ann. To call us girls is wildly inappropriate. Look at you. When's the last time you saw a girl with enough pubic hair to lose her keys in, along with a Boink Canadian Tire keychain?
Okay.
So that goes on for a bit, and until Coach calls him out. Coach calls him out and wants to know that they've been putting in the work for the spelling bee, and they keep telling him. They tell him, we're dog shit spellers. Coach says he's been tinkering behind the scenes to give him a leg up with his little.
Oh my god!
Best laugh ever.
Right?
And
I love Mark
Forward. Right?
Yeah.
He's easily my favorite comedian. He mirrors my sense of humor completely.
Yes. He's such a nice guy.
That's what's beautiful. It's then that also goes into being an actor and comedian and everything. It's just it's it was funny too because someone had said made a remark it's a shame that's almost like his real laugh, and I'm like, that's probably why they made it like that, because it's awesome.
Oh, he does some great voices in his stand-up and stuff about his fancy hats.
Oh my god! Right?
God. Go watch Mark Forward stand-up; it's amazing. But anyway, let's. So we're cutting back to the farm. They're in the kitchen. Katie comes downstairs to find Derry with a Sudoku book, and Wayne with a guitar, and Squirrely Dan with doing curls with some little tiny weights.
Tiny weights.
And then he offers her a bigger one.
Yeah.
I never realized it was bigger. It totally is. Wow.
Then they come clean that they want her to know that they've got her back, and they're trying to do everything they can for her.
Stop her from drinking a beer.
Yeah, because it damages the brain cells. Doesn't kill them like everybody thinks, but and so now we cut over to the basement.
But then she's like, "No, guys, I'm ready. I just
need to know that you're there for me."
And
they do.
Repeat of
everybody's
the
leaning.
Yes.
Everybody's leaning. Wayne's on the wall. Derry's on Wayne. Dan's on Derry. We got your back. Of course, we got your back. But then we cut to the basement, the skid basement. And Stuart's pumping himself up, kind of
giving himself some affirmations in the mirror.
Yeah, like he did with the rave. Then
wearing a similar outfit.
Exactly the exact same outfit, except for the eyelashes he didn't have on.
That's true. Oh, those were great.
Those are boss eyelashes.
I would totally wear those.
They're like 3 inches long. But then Stuart tells him we got the bikes out front when you're ready to go, and they go out, and the Big City Slams and the gym girls are out there asking to be ride double on the bikes to the spelling bee.
Right, I love that. Can you double the champ?
Which is interesting because before this you've never really seen the two groups interact like that before.
True.
Right.
And it's also weird too because I my boyfriend Kelsey, he had asked so many times why do these girls hate Riley and Jonesy so much? What the hell did they ever do? And it comes to what you're saying. It's the first time you really see them kind of interact that way. Why?
They hate Riley and Jonesy because Riley and Jonesy used to hit on them all the time, and they thought that they were jokes.
Yeah.
And these are the same girls from other seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
they just call them idiots.
Yeah,
exactly.
Idiots.
Fucking idiots.
Those guys.
So once they all are clamoring to ride Stuart's bike, we get his famous white dress.
There's a second GIF that everyone uses.
Yeah, and it's misspelled.
Is it really?
It is.
Is it? Wait, how is it spelled?
It's spelled WONDEROUS. There's not supposed to be. There's not supposed to be an E. So
that's wrong. You're right. Now
which I think is hilarious that it's misspelled for the Letterkenny Spelling Bee episode.
Mm-hmm. That maybe they did unintentional. That is wow. Yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
I don't think there's anything unintentional in this show.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right when you say that.
So then we there's a cut back to the kitchen. Wayne, Squirrely Dan, Derry. doing their pre-B mission briefing to help her. They wanted to help her spell mean, so they got her a couple of gold teeth to put in.
Can I just point out, though, that this is the scene where we finally find out why Stuart was so obsessed with the dark web.
The dark web
because
spellers.
It was dark web spellers that he'd been practicing with to prepare.
Right.
with
the dark web spellers.
Dark web words and dark web grammar.
Oh,
you guys better get off the dark web.
You might run into a hard right J.
That's the risk you take.
It's very true.
And I also love that with Katie's gold tooth, like the literal, we want you to show some teeth. It's just that, the visual and everything. It's just connection. It is literally gold. Like
it is very true.
And Stuart's reaction, like he's creeped out that she has gold teeth now.
Right.
So
and it's
funny.
it's literally, I think, my first thought was the second most ridiculous thing I saw in Letterkenny besides fart book or I would not expect it also goes to show back to us talking about Wayne and being vulnerable with Katie and opening a shirt and stuff. It's like, what the hell kind of process did he have that he'd think let's get her some gold tooth, but
that'll bring her luck.
It works. It intimidates, like you said, Stuart, and he's just so dumbfounded.
What's awesome too, because it's both teeth that she got, both on the right or on the left hand side of her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So only Stuart could see him.
Yeah. So it's just
it's a total tactic of intimidation.
That's all it was there for. It was just intimidation tactic.
And of course Wayne would know that because that's what he uses. So Katie uses words like Stuart and stuff, and Wayne uses fists.
Yep. So we cut to the Ukrainian Ag Hall. We're in the hall itself, where we're having the spelling bee, and it's a montage of all the contestants entering. We got Riley and Jonesy coming first, then McMurray coming in, then Tyson and Joint Boy, and Stuart and his group, and Katie and the Hicks all coming in. Then you see up top there's Tanis, Tyson, and Coach. They're all getting their bets sorted for the bee. And then Jim kicks off the bee. And then we find out it's going to be a what was it? Sudden death. So it's not going to be just some long drawn out. You spell wrong once and you're out.
No double elimination
right.
like in years past.
So, so Jim kicks off the bee. Katie is the first to go in.
Joint Boy asks if he can go to the bathroom.
Yes, he does.
I don't know. Can you?
Can you?
Can you do the can?
I do that to my students. I'll be honest.
Oh my God.
Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you?
I totally do that to mine too. Okay.
I did that to my kids, so sure.
True.
Yeah,
we did. We used to do that.
Did you?
Because it happened to us when we were kids. We may as well pass out that shit.
I never actually thought about that. Yeah, you're right. At least it's the healthy stuff that we're passing on and not the trauma.
Yes, thank God. Thank God for that. So Katie goes first, and her first word is, what was it? It was
you had the first round.
Yeah. She had farceur.
Yes.
And so, but they call Katie up.
Basically an actor.
But they call Katie up first, and this is what happens.
Katie, the first word is yours. Shut up! Shut your fucking mouth! You think this is the PGA? You can just hoop and holler whenever you want? Bob out fucking buoy! We respect our athletes here. So sit down, shut up, and enjoy some fucking adult spelling!
Bob out buoy. Also, do you think this is some PGA? Like, how...
PGA.
I remember being in middle school and being taught how to do a golf clap.
The golfers.
Wow. I remember the first time I was taught how to do a golf clap. That's funny.
And it's cool because this is another thing, like from just the Hicks, where it's the emotional level is just 200. It's 211 or not 200, 211 at this point. It's cranked all the way up.
And I should make a point like what you're saying with dialed up. Well, when we were talking about just earlier when we were just watching it, and then the way that Wayne reacted with Katie and stuff, and I had mentioned to you, Dean and Tiara, right, about I had my own spelling bee incident. Like, it wasn't actually a spelling bee, and that's the funny part. It was actually a practice round for spelling bee, and it scarred me for life that I wouldn't go back to it. So it's like, I what I'm trying to say is like that Katie making that one mistake with triskaidekaphobia, you know, Wayne sees the potential that it could have to destroy her. And I felt that emotional wound before too. And I was just like, I didn't realize that till today of like that connection is all, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. The word that she had misspelled wasn't that one.
No, it was something with the silent E. I can't
Silent
remember.
E,
But,
the silent I or
silent E.
Yeah.
The silent
E. Yeah, that's what she missed in the last year.
In the last one.
Yeah,
You're
which is why
right.
it became so important at the end of this one. But.
Yeah. So anyway, after that outburst from Dan, she has to go spell farseer, and she gets it. And then everyone's afraid to clap, and then
they should be able to clap if she get one right squarely down.
Yeah, like that's what we've done in the past.
Yeah, but look at what happens last year's.
Yeah, but see, she's used to getting cheered for, right? We don't want her to get inside of her own head if no one cheers for her. It's the last thing we fucking want.
It's too risky, Dan.
Okay, I am sorry for my outburst earlier. I came at you with a lot of anger and that was unnecessary. You can cheer if someone gets a word right, but it starts and ends there. I don't want to hear a fucking fart out of any of you if someone gets a word wrong. As sure as grandma's got gout, if I hear one fucking heckle, I will staple your tongue to your taint so you can watch me kick your ass.
Yes.
It's like the most aggressive apology I think I've ever heard.
Right?
I love it. I mean,
so
I
one
will
of the-
staple your tongue to your taint.
One of the reasons why I love Squirrely Dan so much, and you, Dean, are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the kind of shit that Grace used to say. Like, she would come up with the most amazingly visually, like, interesting, horrible things just like off the top of her head. And that's what Squirrely Dan reminds me of when he gets really angry. And I love that so much.
He's very passionate.
Yes.
So anyway, so they're allowed to cheer. She gets clapped, and then the next up is Stuart goes and he gets disparate, which he spells correctly. Riley and Jonesy have a tough time, but end up spelling hockey. Joint Boy spells ensconced. McMurray mumbles his way through confrere. And then there's a whole montage of spelling that goes on.
And one of the things that we definitely noticed as we were watching this is every one of the words made a lot of sense with who the speller was that was spelling it. So you had things like luxuriance, and I can't even pronounce that one. Elucibrate for Katie, which are, she's very studious, and she was very dedicated to working on getting ready for this. And then sycophant for Stuart,
because he's got his sycophant.
Yeah, and I didn't even know how to pronounce that word. I literally
that was like the one that I knew.
That's funny because it's like the one that I didn't. I was like, I literally thought it was sycophant. And then and you said that, and then I think Evan Stern said it on Twitter one time, and I was like, "Wow, I feel like a dumbass."
Oh my God, what was it? Something the other day that someone brought up that they wish that there was a place where you could call and pronounce a word for the first time and get let down easy and told how to actually pronounce it.
That would be nice because you know what, I mispronounce authors' names and actors and stuff because all the time, and I feel so bad.
I can't tell you how long it took me to learn how to say Hermione.
Really?
I did not know how to
Hermione.
Hermione?
It's hard.
Hermione? Yeah.
Hermione.
Especially for an
like
American English speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
then Riley and Jonesy had rink, puck, and stick.
It's supposed to be Riley Jonesy's word.
Not yet.
Not yet.
McMurray's was my favorite. He had inaudible, unintelligible, and indecipherable.
Perfect.
They didn't show any of Joint Boy's extra words though, so they couldn't really think of ones that fit him apparently.
So.
Yeah,
they just saw him going into the smoking joints,
cannabis.
And you know what? I think they actually they do that on purpose because they're trying to. Well, I really like this comparison here. Actually, I think it is of Joint Boy and of Stuart because they show Stuart first of all. When Joint Boy just screams "fuck" right into the microphone when that's my favorite part of the entire episode besides Tanis, but that's how I felt, when I filled out in that round, and so we see Stuart cringe because he's like taken aback by his frustration when he gets upset by having been eliminated, you know, and he's just so frustrated. He sits back down in his seat on stage only to be told by Dickens to, you know, have a seat off stage. So he angrily pushes his chair. And once again, you know, there's a shot of Stuart. And this is showing that
Stuart flinches,
Yeah, and this is where he cringes. What I'm saying, this is showing that Stuart's true weapon is his intellect, and Joint Boy's is really just his strength and his physical power and stamina. And I think maybe that's probably why they don't show those words, because his words, because it's really just weighing the pros and cons of each. You know, Stuart seems very vulnerable for the first time ever by anyone other than Wayne. And I don't think Devin counts because Stuart never was really threatened by him at all.
True.
I don't know. My theory.
So I'm getting to that. So there's a whole montage.
What we just discussed.
I totally like
a little later in the episode.
Right. That's okay. So,
that's fine.
But and as Wayne is seeing the Tom fuckery that's going on, finally at the end of this montage, Wayne gives a
give him a fucking break, Jim. They've been spelling their goddamn hearts out up there. Call an intermission.
There was no intermission slotted for today's beat. We'll press on.
How many words got to get spelled before someone just keels over?
Someone's got to start asking the tough questions around here.
Seen this before, Jim. It's time we learned from it.
In the words of arguably the greatest Canadian rock band of all time, the Tragically Hip, it's a good life if you don't weaken.
Also in the words of Gord Downey, legendary lead singer of the Tragically Hip, I can make you scared if you want me to.
Yep. Oh, hey, okay. That's good then. 15-minute intermission, everyone. Sorry about that, Wayne.
So Wayne tells Squirrely Dan and Derry to go talk to Jim about the Tom fuckery with the words that Riley and Jonesy are getting. And
thank you for using that word instead of the word they used in the show.
I don't remember.
I don't either. It's
not my favorite.
He says Tom fuckery quite a bit. So
he does.
Then at the same time, Tanis confronts Jim about McMurray as McMurray comes up. And then we find out that Jim then finds out that there's betting going on, and
it's very emotional about it.
Joint Boy goes back to find Tyson, and there's no more weed, and we find out that he's smoked 21 gram cannons.
20
1 gram
cannons. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot of weed.
I'm a pretty heavy smoker when I have the time to like really dedicate time to it.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't be able to smoke that much in like.
What's the most you've ever? Yeah, in a day, what's the most you've ever smoked?
Maybe 3 full gram joints, maybe. And that's if like I was like in a lot of pain or something, and I really needed to like not think about stuff.
Okay, to give you some context here, that's like a snack for me. I'm not
21 gram.
No, 3. I'm talking to Tiara.
3.
Sorry. No, it's just because I use it medically is all. My tolerance is crazy.
What's your percentage of your THC?
I mean, I couldn't really give you a number to break it down, to be honest, right here.
That might be part of it though, because I'm consistent at the actual dosage and the THC levels, and mine, like when I go in there, I'm usually telling them I want a high end specific thing that I'm not going to name because I don't know if that's
We'll just say indica.
Yeah, it's absolutely an indica. And most of them always look at me funny. They're like, "You want couch lock?" I'm like, "No, I want to feel like a normal person." So,
you know, and
it's not about getting high.
No, and that's exactly what it is for me as well. Yeah. It's just about functioning about your life as you can. And that's a whole different topic. I could talk about hours, but
yeah, but I do want to talk about Joint Boy when we get to thoughts, theories, and stuff.
So,
because
him running out of weed means he cannot spell anymore.
Yeah, but I do want to talk about that once we're done with this. When we get to thoughts, theories, and trivia, all that stuff, we'll talk about that. But I do want to bring that up.
One of the things that I thought was pretty cool about the thing was that they, in a very, very Canadian fashion. Not only did they bring it back to the Canadian rock bands, but in a very Canadian fashion, the Tragically Hip got not 1, but 2 honorable mentions.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna lie. I seriously quote that all the time. I can make you scared if you want me to. It's like, besides like, so I think that's probably my favorite line in the show. I'm not gonna lie. It's just that. I mean, I always love when they do the Canadian rock band stuff. But
So yeah, then so anyway, during this whole the weed is out, Stuart then starts mocking Katie, but she gives him a nut shot, and then Wayne comes and shoves him back to his chair and to his chair and gives Katie a bottle of water and says, "Stay hydrated." And then we're back up on the stage. Jim is now informing everybody that that he's going to be pulling names out of the hat and to determine the order. So as
just to make sure there's no
tomfoolery,
tomfuckery.
Tomfuckery.
So the first, Joint Boy is the first one comes back, and he has to spell what?
Ditherum. I can't.
Dithyram.
Dithyram. It looks like dithyram, but it's dithyram. Yeah.
Yeah, dithyram. So yeah, he misspells it. He leaves off the B. Riley and Joint,
and that was when he threw that temper tantrum up on stage.
Riley and Jonesy have to spell Bosky. Like broski? No, I don't think there's an R in broski.
Oh my goodness!
Every time, watch that episode 3 times this morning, and I laughed every fucking time.
Right? It's just how can you not?
So Tanis at the same time, McMurray is spelling and what did he have to? He had to spell penalty
because it would have been
Riley and Jonesy, but yeah. So Tanis is recording him, and we find out that he's actually misspelled. He used a D instead of a T for penalty, and McMurray calls her a witch.
I love how I want to know how that actor, like every season, it's gotten more mumbled, but it's like gotten to the point when even when she was doing the re-recording of penalty, it was probably like all I heard was the E.
It's actually he impresses me so much too, because I remember watching those rapid fire question videos on YouTube of them. I don't know if you've ever seen them, and McMurray doing the accents. That's just it's very impressive.
he does some good accents
with the mumbling, and still undecipherable, but still kind of decipherable. We know it's decipherable to us, it's just like that's what I said. Whatever.
So yeah, McMurray is out now, that leaving just Katie and Stuart, and Katie gets called up to do triskaidekaphobia, and she gets up there and spells it. Jim says incorrect, and
she's
then
shocked.
Yeah, she's shocked. She's like, no, that's how it's spelled. And I'm sorry, Katie.
Like again.
So then Stuart, he's up and he has to spell it correctly, and so he starts off with TRISK, and then you can see that rolled gives him a
cut
across the neck, and he cut, and then he points to his eye.
Yeah,
and,
don't do the eye.
Yeah, so he spells triskaidekaphobia without the eye, and then we find out from Tanis.
Well, that Jim says you're right,
yeah,
and Tanis is like, no.
Yeah, so she's recorded that as well. And
she looked up the word.
She looked up the word and spelled it correctly. That Katie had it right.
Stuart spelled it incorrectly.
Right, exactly. So Katie wins. And everybody's cheering. Then out in the audience as everybody's celebrating, we see Riley and Jonesy get a message from Coach and found out that the girls are having some infighting because they're all in love with the same guy, and we find out who that is.
Your balls a tug, you tit fucker.
Yep, Shorzy. So
who knows
how anybody can fall in love with Shorzy is beyond me.
I mean, maybe he's got some really great qualities that he does not show outside of intimate relationships.
Yeah,
I know. I tried.
Yeah, no,
he's got a nice butt. I tried.
So let's jump into thoughts, theories, questions, trivia, observations, etc. So you guys have anything that you would like to share?
Katie?
That you haven't shared already?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. One thing we were discussing was, with you guys as well, Wayne being autistic, and Katie is autistic, and the connection here is it relates to Tanis, because I actually didn't like Tanis's character at first, and I think, well, that's kind of the one, it's supposed to be, you know, her coming in and like, who is this, right? And just that the whole dynamic at first. And it took me a while to see, like, you know, just how awesome she is. And then, like, Katie, you saw that right from the beginning, like that she was awesome, right? I mean, well, my point is just that you understood, you like Wayne and stuff, you can process shit way faster than I ever could.
Well, I mean, you know, a part of that's the processing. A part of that's also being Canadian. So, I mean, you know, having visited the Indian reserves in Canada, interacting with people, knowing people who knew them, stuff like that. The experience of it. I love her character for that because, you know, I'm able to make that association because, what was it? It's completely lost my thought and have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, it's because you looked at me for a second and you're just like, wait, there's another
lost in her eyes. That's exactly what I did.
No, just the point is that it makes it really relatable, and it's like a real life example of what we're seeing on the screen. And in this episode too, and you know, Tiara, you kept using the word emotional. I think that's the best way to describe this because everyone is just there. You know, the emotions are running high, and you said 2K, the stakes are running high. It just seems like everyone's acting in a different way than they normally do, and like it seems dramatic, but that's really not the word. Emotional is definitely it is. Like,
well, it's a problem that you can't punch, is what it is.
True that.
True, but I also think that I mean, Katie's been winning this competition since she was a young woman. Basically, this is the adult competition. And if you have to be an adult to do it, let's say she was 18, this is actually what helped us figure out how old these characters potentially were. So if she's 18, even let's just say she's 16 at the adult competition and she's won 9 times, lost the 10th year, and it is now, you know, potentially her 10th win in 11 years, you know, that they are so emotionally invested in her winning after 9 years of winning. It's expected. It's part of their group is that Katie is this awesome speller. And then when Stuart wins because Katie forgot a letter, like number one, it was Stuart, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
And number two, they don't have that identity of, you know, and they don't know how to handle Katie losing.
I wonder if that has
because
to do
Katie
with,
doesn't lose.
I wonder if that has to do with why she says like she looked up to him at some point.
I think that was, well, Stuart's a little older than her.
Yeah.
I think we figured out.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was, like before the rave episode.
Yeah, it was the rave episode.
The rave episode.
That was the which he's overdosed and he's sitting, he can't see. And basically he says, I really looked up to you.
Oh, and what? Did she say I looked up to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was making
words.
music and like doing his thing, and he was really impressive to her before he started doing drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my interpretation. Okay.
So yeah, she used to steal his mixtapes, and
so the fact that it was Stuart,
yeah,
who Wayne definitely has not liked, and Katie even dated for a little bit, like that just, I feel like that just makes the emotions more for them.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be like a punch in the gut. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You have anything?
I have trivia.
Okay, well, I do have some. I have some questions that,
well, and I do want to know.
Yeah.
Why there had to be an Asperger's joke?
Yeah,
because that's still kind of sick. Every time I hear a joke that is punching down,
yeah,
which is a term I think that we've talked about on the show. I know that we've talked about a lot.
Yeah,
but you know, it's most of the ribbing is in good fun, and you don't actually like insult an entire like group of people. But making a joke about somebody being a kid with Asperger's just really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Wait,
which is why I didn't get that clip.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, as somebody, you know, on the spectrum, and as somebody who, you know, deals with it, I got to tell you, honestly, a lot of us have learned to have a fucking sense of humor about it, and so it's
I know I'm autistic and I'm a special ed teacher. I totally do, but that show has made a point about not punching down, and yet they did in that category, and that made me upset. That's just a personal thing.
It was a disappointment.
Because I'm just a little lost here. I actually don't know which joke. First of all, what is
she
the
made
joke?
about a 13-year-old autistic Dutch boy with
Asperger's.
Asperger's.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Asperger's in history, Asperger was the name of the Nazi scientist who decided some kids with autism were okay to save for experiments. And so the term Asperger's syndrome was applied to high-functioning people on the autistic spectrum for decades. And it's become, and it maybe not over in on that side of the country, but especially around here and in a lot of the circles that I run in, and in actually autistic, people, who don't pay attention to things like Autism Speaks and those places that are run by people who are not on the spectrum. It's got such a heavy connotation to it, as if somehow that makes somebody better or worse. And there's a lot of research that is coming out showing there's no such thing as high functioning versus low functioning. And what it means really is just that the spectrum really is an actual spectrum and not a line like people have believed.
Well,
and
you're absolutely right on that, in that, and like the thing is that being around a lot of other people with Asperger's and autism, the interesting thing that I found was that, especially me, there were a lot of the high functioning autistics that I tend to use the blanket term autism, and this is the reason why, is because I found that when I was comparing myself to the more high functioning, I found that there was a lot of things that I didn't have in common with them. And then when I would look at some of the lower functioning, especially like, when they would start to have like emotional stimuli that they just had zero way of processing, that would get them that would send them into just a fit. Like, it's not no emotion, it's just too much emotion being thrown at them, and so they go into a fit. Where it's like when I would watch that happen, in front of me, and I was like, oh my God, I've done that. Like,
yeah, and that's my point about there's no such thing as high functioning and low functioning.
Exactly.
I may appear to be low functioning in some ways of my processing and my social skills, but I have an extremely high IQ and I can make friends and I am highly empathetic. But I also have very poor joints and coordination, and I fall all the time. And like it's not a high functioning versus low functioning. It's in this specific section, I have more capability, and in this specific section, I don't. Somebody who is nonverbal and autistic might be exactly the same on every other spot of the spectrum as I am, but because they're nonverbal, they're considered low functioning because somebody isn't taking the time to understand it.
If we look at that, sure.
We're just real quick that as a nanny, the main, the boy that I watch, he is nonverbal and autistic, and and so he's on that low functioning, and that's the frustration I face every day. It's devastating, is what it is.
Yeah, I think. Well, looking at this in the spectrum of Wayne, where his processing doesn't work is those things that are
uncomfortable
and dynamic,
his norm,
that are not straight. He kind of has an issue with gray area.
Mm-hmm.
That's what his issue is, and so his processing is if
black
it doesn't
and white.
follow these set of rules, then so that's kind of where and that's why Katie helps him with that. So that's why she's important to him so much, is that she helps him with understanding all of that processing, where he's trying now to pay that back.
Yeah.
He
feels like he's supposed to be her emotional support in this situation because he was so devastated by her losing.
Yeah.
So he's like projected that emotion on.
So, that's where he turns it up to 11.
But I think
I absolutely do.
The thing is one of the lines that you're reminding me of was when he was talking about, I think it's called the comfort zone, because everything in it's like warm and comfortable from what was it? The Letterkenny Leave. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about that is that he has the problems with the social situations, but he figured out like hours before everybody else what was going on.
Yes.
So he was just like,
he always does.
No,
usually
I don't want anything to do with this. I'm gonna go get a beer.
Yeah. Like he figured it out, but he was like, but I'm not going to spoil anybody else's fun. They might enjoy it. I'm going to do what makes me comfortable, which is go sit outside and drink a beer.
Yeah, he knew he was uncomfortable at it, but it took him a bit to figure out exactly what. So he just took himself outside of the situation.
And what's really funny, like looking back on my own life, that's why I started smoking cigarettes back when I was a teenager.
Is that why
I wanted to be away? You know, yeah.
You wanted to get away.
I think so.
Well, I think if he feels he's figured it out, everybody else should have figured it out already.
I would relate to that one.
I would have to agree. That's why he probably says that. Yeah.
All right, so let's.
Do you have any more?
I have some stuff. Yeah. So, who do you think would win between Dan and Gary?
We've had this conversation so many times.
Well,
and I go
think
back and forth.
It's cool because that, in a lot of nerd culture, all the time you have that division between, who do you think you would win? Like
Flash versus Superman.
Or Flash versus Superman in a foot race. Batman. Or Superman versus Batman. Thor versus the Hulk. And then I think what was really, really cool about that, because I think it's cool because it's kind of like you're almost seeing like that these, getting to know the characters are almost like heroes at that point. And then secondly, I think that the cool thing about that was that you see Joint Boy and Tyson go at it. And I fucking love that because that's,
see, there's a good friend. I'll sort you out.
And they're so evenly matched, which we've always been saying that they literally knocked each other out. And so neither of them would win in the fight because they knocked each other out. Love that.
So, I'm still with Dan.
I think I'm still.
Yeah,
I think I'm still with Dan just because I think it would Dan like one of you guys mentioned earlier that like right in that moment, even though it was his friend, he was ready to fight. Whereas Derry was like, no, we don't actually have to do this.
I see you're getting soft already on it.
You're getting soft on him already.
I mentioned it earlier, but it was Katie that had said that earlier. About he would lose. He's too soft.
Yeah, because I think Dan can take a lot of punishment,
and he would be the good friend. He would just knock him out and be like, "Okay."
Yeah, he just because it wouldn't. The hard right J, he took out 3 guys at once. Mm-hmm. So
dang,
he's your tank.
Oh God, yeah.
Just like the whole. One of my favorite lines are "Big surly uncles."
Gary the Bard.
He's got a whole whole entourage with bald-headed bearded dudes that look like bird surly uncles. So yeah, how the fuck did Riley and Jonesy ever get involved with the spelling bee?
Because
and it's interesting
they're
too,
there
because
to lose.
So, when they start talking about this, they're like, "Coach, we're math guys." And you even remember like the episode where they thought they were taking steroids and they were taking like and they had like fucking calculus worked out on a chalkboard.
That I want that whole board. I want it framed on my wall. It's pretty brilliant. If you I've paused and just read that board and I'm just like, wow. If you
like the Shorzy is fat.
Exactly.
That's right. There's little things all through there.
It's the little things. That's what it is. Yeah.
One of the things I also liked in this episode was the pointing out that a trilby is different than a fedora for all those incel milady guys.
Oh my God! And that's just funny because I didn't know what milady was until Kelsey and all the time. So that I didn't know that was like so funny, the trilby versus fedora shit. And now I look back and I'm like, it is gold.
I want to know who that hat belonged to. It looks like like one from
Upcountry.
The Angie's boyfriend that.
Oh yeah, it probably is
because he had a hat.
Well, that's who I thought of. Like when I was just saying that. Yeah, I was picturing him.
And his boyfriend had a trilby.
Wait, what did you say?
It was a trilby. It wasn't a fedora.
It was a trilby.
Exactly.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yep.
And that's what I didn't know that till.
And the other thing that I took notice of that Katie I'd never seen before, she had a side ponytail.
No, she had 2 ponytails.
Oh, was it 2?
She had 2 half ponytails.
She had the 2
on
like your daughter does.
Side.
The thing your daughter does now, which is weird to see a 20-year-old who's gigantic with pigtails like that. I mean, she's gorgeous.
Aww.
She's gorgeous.
She's like 5'10".
Yeah. And wears like 5-inch heels.
No, I do it too. I'm 28, but I was like stunted in adolescence. But no, I don't. I mean, but no, it really, Katie's hair does look super cute like that. But
It's so cute.
it is very different. You're right. And I think this whole episode is so unique in that way that even her, she's
wearing a tracksuit. She's covered up completely.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I think it's the first time she's been covered up completely.
Yeah,
except when they're outside.
Yeah, when they're
Like sledding.
outside and it's fucking freezing.
Yeah.
So it's also a vulnerability factor, I guess. It's like Wayne's taking her shirt off and she's covering herself up, huh? It's like,
yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Right?
And then all the discussion about the degrees.
Oh. That was the trivia.
Yeah.
Every time somebody was saying what the degrees were, they had a new thing, and it just made me so happy because some of them are so great, and some people who are listening to this or watching that show probably didn't catch all of them because I know a lot of it was Canadian jokes. Like the Degrassi Junior High,
huge Degrassi fan, by the way.
It's 10 Degrassi Junior Highs.
Yeah, I just love
but
Degrassi.
It's 10 Neil deGrasse Tysons.
That's my favorite. Neil
10 DeGrasse's. 10 DeGrasse's always greener. 10 Degrees Witherspoons. I have to make sure I'm reading them the right way. And then 10 Degreases peanut butter cups.
Yeah, and
10 Degreases peanut butter cups.
Yeah, I love when my favorite is when Roald says it, when it's Stuart and him looking in the mirror, that very classic self-reflection scene, and he just his looks that he's given Stuart, the loving the whole time, like just admiring him, and just they're fantastic. They're just like
he loves Stuart. He loves Stuart. So much.
He has his back like 100%, no matter what. And it's just like you can see that too when they pan to his face, like when Stuart fails out, and he's just devastated for him, and then Stuart comes up is like, does anyone want to double me? And they're like, fucking idiots, like get out of here,
right?
And he's just like, my idiot, like get the fuck out, right?
Well, and I love that you brought that up because there was a whole thing in there, like Stuart spelled the word wrong because he knew that it was spelled wrong, so he made himself look like an idiot in order to win, but yet didn't win and lost the admiration of these girls who maybe might have like given him a chance if he'd spelled it correctly somehow. I don't know.
Don't they give him a chance later? No, different girls.
No. You mean a later episode?
No.
We don't know later episodes when we talk about this.
No,
episode.
This is the latest episode.
I was thinking of a completely different scenario anyway.
I love that when Stuart's trying to spell out the word, that he's like, he almost sounds the way like a computer does when like it has like specific letters recorded. So it's like when he's talking and he's trying to spell out triskaidekaphobia, it's like TRISK.
TRIS. He goes a TRISK.
PHOBIA.
I wonder if that's. I wonder, like, I don't know. I've never done spelling bees because I can't spell for shit. I'm a math girl. I teach elementary school, and I constantly am having to look up words before I put them on the board to make sure my students just spell them correctly.
I just question myself on my spelling all the time. Even though I know I have it right, I'll have to go look it up just to make sure I'm not, because I don't want to look like an idiot.
I'm okay with looking like an idiot.
I'm wondering if people who actually like study for things like that, if like. Because I was watching a video the other day of a girl who can do pi to like 1,000 numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And she had broken it down into these sections. So when she said it, it was like da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Like, I wonder if that's how he learned how to spell
She made
the
up
word.
a story.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying like the way that she did it was she broke it into sections.
It almost reminds
me
of
the way
like,
that he said it was like
that. Morse code or something, kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different way of learning, really.
Yeah. I wish I could learn like
that. And I'm the opposite.
I can't memorize stuff like that.
I can't do math. I like the spelling. So it's like I appreciate that, like that about you. And Katie, you're the kind of
well, one of the things that Katie actually does when she's starting out and originally doing the first word for sure is that she does break it down, because that's what that's what champion spellers do, is they break down the words into. Like, so when, like, if you've ever been bored enough to watch an actual professional championship spelling bee, they always ask for, they'll ask for like not necessarily the definition, but like the etymology of the word, like where it came from, because English is the most frustrating language in that
totally
it literally takes words from other languages and then just stuffs it into their own.
Yes, that's
so that if it's got a Latin or a French root, it's going to be spelled one way, or if it's got a Germanic root, it's going to be spelled another way. If it's got a Russian root, it's going to be spelled another way. You've got even Japanese words in the English language. It's awful.
True.
And me and my my lovely mind, I remember little things that just like weird trivia, and I actually know a big reason why a lot of our words are other languages with letters taken out, and that's because printed word was done you paid for it by the letter, so they would take out like extra U's and E's all over the place, and that just became how we spell it here. So, all those people doing like type, what do you call it? The block types from back. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Like old newspaper when they would have to put the blocks in to do the
printing press.
Printing press, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On the whole, this episode was very interesting.
It's got a lot of little things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm kind of curious.
It's just with
because it was very much like a law procedure, something. The way it was like they were in a courtroom. Yeah. That's how it felt. It's like I'm just curious. There's got to be a background to why they did this, and I'm curious what it is.
I'm curious on a lot of episodes.
And when you said there about a courtroom, my first thought was ag hall almost. But like, and to be honest, I was thinking about the trivia and stuff you do, like, like fuck fight Ferda and stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin because like everybody is all over the place. It's like well, just going back to the word emotional. So it's like it's just such a different episode. It's very unique in that way.
It is.
Yeah.
Very.
I have a feeling that the FFF is not going to turn out the way it normally does.
Shall we?
Yeah. You ready to move into it?
Yeah. You want to, Katie?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into.
She's like no. She's totally fine.
I love
all right,
that.
so
I love that we have little
just
for
those playing the home game. This is our own version of Fuck, Marry, Kill, but we don't want to kill anybody, so we'll fight them
and maybe invite them to our super soft party after.
Yeah, exactly. And this also goes along with the assumption that there's consent.
Yes.
That everybody swings that way, and it's all good. So as we do, we start with Wayne.
Wayne is like,
that was a total loaded, like, fuck, it could be good or bad. No interpretation.
I get it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
A lot of guests that we have come on are like, this is my chance. I don't care about this episode. I want to fuck
really?
them. So,
man.
You know what? This is my chance. I want to fight him.
Right.
I
would
take
all right, a fuck and a fight.
I would do it.
Dude,
I
would totally
all right, cool.
I would do all. I say Wayne fuck fight Ferda. Like seriously, I would cross all the board because it's like he
you would have some.
Maybe he needs fucked in the bad and the good way. I mean, seriously, like he's
so he need. So you're going to be his dom.
Oh God, no, I wouldn't do that way. I'll be a ballast.
You're gonna give him some. You're gonna
like
give
that.
a little. You're gonna give him a little violence. You're gonna fuck him, and then you're gonna give him some.
Okay, I'm
aftercare.
gonna stop talking now. You're putting words in my mouth.
That was actually kind of cute, the way that all came together.
Actually, it's accurate. No, that's
aftercare is Ferda.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, it's like you need to break. You need that. You hit that peak. And then you need, you need to come down, and you need to care for each other. It's like this only way to resolve shit.
So, all right. So, where are we starting with this? So, I got one that was a fight.
I'm going to say Ferda for me.
You're saying Ferda. All right.
I think he's a very good friend and brother in this episode.
All right. So who? I don't know who said fight, but was that
Katie?
Katie or you?
Katie.
Okay. And Erin. So yours is.
Which one do you want to start with?
Oh man.
You can have all of them. You just got to start with one.
I just have to start with one. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely start with Ferda.
All right.
Because, I agree with you, Tiara.
Because a Ferda can always lead to a fuck.
Oh, God. Especially if you're demi-brained. I mean, what?
Yeah. What? Dairy.
Derry. Aw, Ferda, but Dad already did
almost across the
Ferda.
board, yeah.
Definitely.
No, you could do Ferda.
Okay.
I'm
Each-
gonna probably
each
do
character
Ferda on
gets
all
their
of
own.
them.
You can each
Well, not
character
all of
is a
them, but-
reset for.
Yes.
So yeah, you can
Oh, that's
choose
right. I totally forgot that.
whatever you want for each character. So
Like I tell my students, every day is a new day. Every
so
episode
Tiara's
is a new
saying
episode.
Ferda for Derry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying Ferda for Derry.
All
And
right.
Katie's nodding. Yes, too.
All right.
You could just say yes.
All right. Squirrely's Dan's.
Ferda for sure. After that aggressive apology. You said it best, Katie.
I mean, I'm not a fan of angry yelling.
Me neither.
Normally, I don't know. I kind of it's my reoccurring thing for Squirrely Dan. It was kind of cute and a little bit.
You want to fuck him then?
I kind of want to
Is that
fuck
what
him.
you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So you're
Yeah.
so Katie and Erin, you're both Ferda and Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Miss Katie's.
Definitely Ferda. I relate to her the most in this episode. Like that, so yeah, absolutely Ferda.
Oh, definitely fuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
Little Katie on Katie
Oh
action.
God, yeah.
of course.
Can I be there to announce that?
Yes. I mean,
And she's going in.
Oh God, I'm just okay.
I'll do
no,
the
don't-
play-by-play.
Don't worry about that. He's not really. He just wants to know about it after.
Makes sense.
All right.
That's what they all want.
I know.
Can I just watch a little bit?
I'm gonna say, God, what am I gonna say for Katie? I'm gonna go with Ferda.
All right.
Her vulnerability was really, for me, that's, God damn it. If you're vulnerable around me, it just makes me want to fall in love with you. Because again, Demi Brain.
Mhm.
So definitely Ferda.
Okay.
But it's creeping up
Could,
on
could
that,
lead
like,
could lead to a fuck.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Riley and Jonesy.
Oh my God.
Fight.
Fight, definitely.
You know what? You want to fight him?
You know what? I mean, the thing is like, yeah. I mean, aside from the natives, those two have not actually gotten into a fight. Like,
yeah, what?
That's true. You would
Yeah.
think that they would have fought when Katie picked one of them over the other, but they're just too.
You know,
They're the same person.
They try. Like Riley was the first one to own up. Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said. They try to be good guys. They're fuck ups completely all
Yes.
the time, but they try. So I will say that for them.
I would say Ferda because they do actually like take ownership of their screw ups.
Yeah.
And they're like in the last episode where
They know their
spelling and,
weaknesses.
like, oh, is it really spelled like that? Okay, I'm gonna trust you, buddy. Because they're together, they are such good friends.
Yeah.
They share, like you said, one brain cell.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's just they need to think.
I mean-
they need to think for themselves when it comes down to it, and
All right.
that's all.
they tried that once.
True.
So-
Yeah, look how that worked
so-
out.
Right?
So are you both fighting them?
You know what? I'm gonna stick with Ferda because honestly, I feel like I need to be
All right.
here for Ferda too.
I'm sticking with fight.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
you stick with fight.
That's fine. I no judgment.
Absolutely
So,
not.
Now we're going to get into the other duo, Marianne and Betty Ann.
Oh God, fight.
If I could ignore the Asperger's joke, I would want to actually get in the middle of that hate fuck.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna even
Thank-
touch that because it's too. I don't want any part of it. I'm just gonna go with Ferda.
I agree. I don't want to be a part of it. I just want to be hate fucked.
That's a thing.
It is.
Anyway,
I would want to know about it afterwards.
deal.
I'll do the color commentary.
Like Ferda because and this is another thing. It's just there's so much, there's so much loaded behind them of why they chirp at each other like
Yeah.
that. So it's definitely. I mean, I'm just gonna.
They need a friend to help sort it out.
They need a third party. It's Riley and Jonesy the same way. It's like they're supposed to be the like female versions to some degree, but in an extreme. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Coach.
I would fight him in this
Yeah,
episode.
I can see that.
He's just
He's a complete dickhead in this.
He doesn't
episode.
want to be embarrassed, so he's not just trying to throw the thing, but he's doing it in such a way that really makes Riley and Jonesy look dumber than they are.
Yeah. But he's the one who was an idiot to put them in there in the first place. So
right.
But
I felt bad for the boys because Coach was essentially telling them, "You're gonna do this and you're gonna win, and I'm gonna make it happen for you." And the boys were like, "I don't even want to be in this thing."
Well, you know, and that's from the episode. Actually, it's funny you say that because I'm looking at I had my notes pulled up here from when I was writing stuff down, and it's like the highlighted thing on the screen is Coach's line when he's talking to Riley and Jonesy, and he says, wake up in the morning, fucking embarrassing. Go to bed at night, fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
He's like, he's trying to make him, he's trying to make like his own appearance and stuff with her. So I'm going to stick to Ferda again.
Yeah, I'm going with Ferda as well.
All right.
I honestly, I really like Coach. In this
I'm going to support Ferda for everyone in this episode. I already
All right.
I'm beginning.
All right. How about Stuart?
Oh, fight.
You're just what a fight. Are you like Wayne
Stuart...
at this point? You're just trying to fight everyone.
No, you know what? I mean, it's just like, I mean, what's it? Like Wayne, or not Wayne. Stuart. I've seen him be like, one of the people that I like. I've seen him be like a decent character. And then, in this, he's just like he's just like a greasy little salamander, and I just want to squish him. I really fucking do.
Yeah, he's totally gone.
Very greasy.
There are episodes where he just goes off the rails, where he just. Fucking...
I think he got a taste of what it was like to feel like a winner, and so he thinks that that's the way he's gonna get it again.
But cheating.
Yeah. So like that's
lying.
Yeah.
I understand that. All right.
Because he feels like a loser most of his life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
got a little.
No, it's very accurate though. It's like it's like a false sense of this is like going to bring me some happiness of winning, but no, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So we got one fight. Who else we got? What are you doing?
Ferda. Yeah.
Ferda boys.
I feel like when exactly. I feel like when he's walking away from there, and those girls are like. Such an idiot. I just want to after the rave episode, I just want to put my arms around him and tell him it's going to be okay. And that he doesn't need to go and do meth.
Yeah, that was hard for me to watch. With no one showing up to his rave. I was just like, oh God. So
that's the kind of embarrassment, it's like social embarrassment that really
close
kills
people are the ones who fuck you over.
Yeah.
I mean, even Wayne saw that was happening. He the shit that he was going to try to pull, he decided, you know what, that's more than enough.
Mm-hmm. See, now there's a good friend.
That's right. So
and back then they hated Stuart.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't even come to that we don't like each other, but we don't hate each other.
And that's what I think makes this episode absolutely unique because it we see in the first episode when Tanis and the Rez shows up to fight because the Stuart selling packs of darts, and Wayne absolutely despises Stuart at this point because of Katie, but he's still willing to protect him, defend him for the sake of Letterkenny, and then
he's part of Letterkenny. He's
exactly. So it's like, and then in this episode, even though he's destroyed Katie, he's still like, I don't know. It's just at this point we've seen the Hicks, the Skids, the Christians, etc., the hockey players go through so much together. It's in that way. I love the community aspect of this, and we've like beaten it like in a drum circle at this point. That is such a unique episode, but it just goes to show the community of it, and how at the end of the day, Wayne and Katie are just kind of Letterkenny personified, and
they are. Wayne, his ideal is that we are no better than the worst of us, and so we got to help everybody out in this community.
But I mean,
so that's
Tiara. Back to your point when what was it? They actually had that fight there with Tanis and the Hicks and everything. Tanis, you're absolutely right, and that he just kind of accepted that he was a loser because when Tanis pieces him apart and just he just takes it because he just accepts that he's a fucking loser.
And that's why I love that. And that part, that was when I fucking fell in love with Katie. I mean, just I already loved her character, obviously, but just when she was like, "Hey," and she hooks Tanis, it's like she's like that.
Nobody talks to our loser,
exactly.
But us.
Nobody gets.
She goes, "Hey, what's got a sting?" Pow.
Yeah. And then and when she does it to Angie again, when she does it to Angie, when she does it to Tanis there at first, it's just like, God, I can't imagine how bad that would hurt. Just like, because she must have been just saving that like rage. I mean, I don't know for how much Stuart hurt her in the past,
Yeah. Well, she got a good nut shot in on him.
She definitely did. That's true. She's got good aim.
Because he was mocking her about the silent E thing.
Yeah, Katie's got good aim with some kicks and throwing her her joints at Riley and Jonesy. Put it out.
Right.
All right. So let's Roldy.
Roldy. Oh God.
I love Roldy.
Ferda, but also like I want to be that friend that like smacks him upside the head. Like, I know you love Stuart, but don't cheat with him. Like,
yeah.
In a way, like his helping Stuart cheat kind of ruined Stuart's chances with the girls.
Yeah.
And because, Stuart would have gone up there and like, I don't know how to spell it because Katie spelled it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that, so now there's,
and then what would have happened next?
There's one of the points that was made, and that the B should have gone on, but with the exception of because Katie spelled it correctly, Stuart should have then had a new word, but they fucked it up, and so Katie spelled it correctly. Stuart tried to spell it again. He spelled it wrong, so that's why it ended.
Yes.
So I understand that but there's a lot of trivia in the backside that is all she spelled it correctly. He should have got a new word in that case. But so no, he spelled it wrong though. So
yep.
And it turns out she spelled it right. So I think it should have ended there. So yeah. But anyway, as far as Roldy goes, so we got a Ferda. What else we got for?
You know what? I gotta say, Ferda on this. I am just nuts for loyalty like that because
I love Rold.
And that's the thing.
Rold
he's so loyal, and he's got Stuart's back, and I feel like that's such an awesome friendship between them.
Totally.
It really is. It's such a a special bond, and I absolutely am Ferda as well here because it almost goes back to what we were saying about Betty, Marianne, and Ryan Jones having to think for themselves. Like it's a different situation here with Rold and Stuart, but it's not in the sense that loyalty. Well, he just needs to think for himself, basically. But it really is. It just throughout the entire series of Letterkenny. We see Rold, he has the softest, kindest heart, and it's absolutely 100 for Stuart. He puts his trust in Stuart, and it's just their whole friendship and dynamic is my favorite part of this entire show. Like they are 100% my spirit animals. Like seriously, and I think that in this episode, Rold is he's lost because Stuart is not himself like he usually is, and it's just sad. And I want to give him a big hug and be like, totally Ferda. So yeah.
Yeah. Jim Dickens.
Jimmy Dickens.
I really want to know how tall he is.
Is he tall in real life?
Yeah, he's really tall.
Yeah, he's
like
really
6'7",
tall.
6'8", something like that. Maybe even taller than that.
Like, to borrow a phrase from my dear sister, I kind of want to climb him like a telephone pole. I'm pretty sure she said that before.
I think so.
Like,
go
nothing...
listen to a Fuss in the Backbone.
I don't think it was that episode. That might have been off the radio. Yeah. So I mean, he didn't do anything in here to like make me want to fight him, and he's 6'7". I really
or taller.
Or taller.
Yeah.
So you're fucking Jim.
How many times does he clothesline himself?
Oh my God! Right?
Dang, that sucks.
That's why he wears the hat.
Small.
That's why if he wears the hat, he's gonna.
He's gonna hit the hat first.
I don't know. Is it though? I feel like it's gonna hit him in the throat, like. Like,
if it's a bar, yeah, sure.
Or a doorway. I'm thinking about trying to walk through a doorway and just like not paying attention, like the ag hole, walking in and like, oh crap, how many times? I don't know, but
He would have to always be paying attention.
Yeah, he would. But I would say Ferda too, because Jimmy Dickens as the host here, he seems extremely distraught, especially after the whole, we are here to be spellers. Like, it's like, yeah. I feel like it's a whole sense of betrayal. Like, a sense of trust with them.
Yeah.
And to play right is completely betrayed. And now he doesn't know, like, how to continue almost.
He's got a little bit of that. He's got a little of that black and white in him, like Wayne does, about how things need to be this way. And, so
tradition.
He totally does.
You don't fuck with
and it
tradition.
makes sense why him and Wayne do have like that very cut and dry, simple relationship. Like, this is the way it is. And, as opposed to McMurray, oh my God. And let me just say this too. I fucking love when McMurray goes on stage and immediately he's like, Wayne, hard now. And Wayne just his look like, just rolls his eyes. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's just like the difference. Like, he never has looked like Dickens like that way or anything. It's like such a different dynamic. Like, and also just from the beginning, when Dickens had asked Wayne to be, run for ag hole president and stuff, he was like, wait, what the hell? Someone wants me to be in charge? Like, that's not a thing. So it's just like, there's like a special kind of Ferda for Dickens there. Dickens and Roald in this episode, Roald and Dickens in this episode, like, I'm just like, yeah, they need a little extra love.
All right, so y'all are both Ferda.
No, I'm actually the exact opposite. I couldn't stand him. I felt like,
oh, you want to fight? Okay.
I would not want to fight him. He'd,
you don't want to fight him.
I'd probably run.
Wait, so do you or do you want to fight him?
I'd want to fight him, but I'd want to wait. I'd probably get my ass beat. Is what
you would
that would
want
end
to fight
up
him, but
being.
you'd lose because of his size compared to you.
Oh God, yeah, no, I'm not.
But essentially,
if you tackle
you
him,
could totally just come up from behind and just pounce like,
take him down like they do in Star Wars.
Come down like a tree.
Like an Ewok.
Totally.
No, but I mean, the thing is like I felt like the whole time, like he was just like being not necessarily ruthless, like, but he was just kind of like being like he was almost the antagonist. He was being a dick. Because the thing is like, what was it? Joint Boy has to go to the bathroom, and then he has to like,
can you do the
can you do the can? It's like, oh my God, I want to slap you.
That's
right
the grammar Nazi part, It's just like,
and I felt like
it's not a grammar bee.
It's a spelling bee.
Yeah, I felt like he was just taking it way too far, but it's also kind of like it's also kind of the theme of the episode is that. Everything's dialed up to 11 because it's this is the elite of the spelling.
I think
high emotion.
I think if we've noticed anything about Dickens is he takes things very seriously.
Yes.
If he's given a task, he does it. He does it according to the rules. These are the rules set out for us.
My friend, help him.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, it's also a very small towny thing too.
And Wayne and Dickens seem to relate to that on a level that no one else really does. And you know what? I didn't think about that because I always kind of thought those little scenes. Just the one scene seemed kind of odd and stood out to me of like when Dickens just shows up and pays the Wayne back, the favor for choring for him. It's like that little thing showing the point of that was to show their relationship is different and that like they have that kind of dynamic, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. But as soon as Wayne flexed on him, he was like, "Oh, yep, nope, okay."
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say no to you. Shit, I
my bad.
We're going to the rules, and then, but yes, I understand.
I love that. That's
McMurray.
Oh God,
McMurray's a piece of shit.
McMurray's a piece of shit.
But just this whole, I'm sorry. It's just like, come on. I feel like he's the major antagonist in this episode. Like, just because
he's the big
stress all big bad wolf, stress all around. It's like tensions are because, well, like you said earlier, his words just in general, they can't fucking understand. Not his being.
And it got worse as the episode went on. His the ability to understand him, like when he was asking him, or after he got out and he was sitting next to Derry and
he said, "You guys want to get hammered?"
I have no idea what that was.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And
They're just like,
and we're not at home. We're not at home, so we couldn't figure out how to turn the subtitles on this one. And I rely on those a lot because my processing speed is sometimes a lot slower than what is being said on the TV.
Thank you. Same.
I had to find it out from watching it on the laptop because I could turn on the subtitles.
Yeah, we didn't have subtitles on when we were watching it earlier, and I was throwing me off. But I've memorized episodes.
Well, the difference,
pretty much.
I'm used to the accent. So
Yeah, and
I
that's
understand everything. I don't miss a word, even McMurray.
Well, and that's also you
to
get
that
the
Canadian
French,
accent.
the French stuff that I don't like the translation. And I'm not talking about the actual like the subtitles that you turn on like closed caption, but the French subtitles that actually occur like in Bac Biche and stuff, right? Like they're not direct translations, right?
They're not direct translations. There's a few phrases that they sneak in there.
Of course, and that's why I wanted you to watch this.
Like for example, when they were talking about the degenerates, right? And the subtitles at the bottom are saying degens, and every time they say degen, what was it? The French guy there says la douchebag, la douchebag,
le douchebag.
But that's but it's little things like that they slip in, I think, for the French viewers who do understand it, because the subtitles don't match exactly, and there's little iterations that just make you kind of giggle if you get it. Okay,
so let's get to Tanis. How about Tanis?
Oh my God, I would take her down in a heartbeat. I mean, the thing is, I've since season 1. Since her first, what was it? Since her first appearance, I've shipped her, and
you were, like Derry, you were sweet on her.
Oh yeah. I absolutely shipped her.
I think I'm
and
sweet
Wayne
on
since
Tanis.
season 1, and I think that they need
to.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that they need to work out their differences there.
Definitely.
We are absolutely team. What would be a good ship name for them?
Oh yeah, good question.
Tane.
No, that sounds like
Wanus sounds horrible.
Team Wanus.
I bet I know a Glenn who would be on that team.
Oh God. I want to be touched by wine and Tanis.
Okay. Anyway, yes, we're big supporters of that ship here. And I'm torn on this one because it's really the first episode where she is being shown as an actual member of the community,
right.
Being one of the many that is there to support Katie right from the outset.
Right.
She was the one who betted on Katie, and she was the one who exposed McMurray and proved that Stuart was lying when he tried to cover up for his own, trying to cheat at the end. And she's kind of the hero of this episode.
She was definitely against the Tom fuckery.
Yes. Yes.
Except for the betting. So
right, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm with you. So are you Ferda then?
I think I'm gonna say Ferda.
Okay, Ferda.
That's a hard one for me to say, but again, Ferda can always lead somewhere else. But I really love how she's showing her comradeship with
camaraderie
with her friends, with the Hicks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's solid with them now. Erin.
Yeah.
So
Is Erin back?
She's back.
Yeah, sorry. I have
so we restarted.
I'm trying to put my headphones on left and right and wrong. Yeah, not fun.
So we restarted. Since we disconnected, we restarted Tanis.
Okay.
So I just said fuck because
Oh, Tanis. Dang. So we're starting Tanis over. All right. So I have. I had such a bunch about Tanis. No. Tanis. I was saying that in this episode, Katie is pretty much the star, but Tanis very much is too, because she's the one that exposes McMurray, for like Tiara you had said, just his words in general. And he was the main antagonist on Decipherable, driving everyone nuts. And just when she holds the tape deck up there at that moment, and she almost growl, scowls and exposes her fangs, haha, I got you right. And it's just funny too. And then when Murray's like, yeah, Tannis, you know, like no, actually, like screw you, McMurray. Like I got you pinned. So for Tannis, I'm absolutely Ferda, like a Ferda boys, because just like there would have never been any resolve if she hadn't had that tape recorder, and also just how the scene is set up, you know, and how she's juxtaposed and like positioned everything else. She's literally the like epicenter, the center, up right in the middle of, you know, the spelling bee there, and it just it's that's for a reason, you know, and it's to show like just her role and everything. So yeah, Ferda Tannis.
And what you've said in the past too is that Tannis is more sister to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm sorry. That was what I had said earlier. I said Tannis is absolutely more like a soul sister to me. So it's more like that sister power there. So Ferda girls, Ferda res ladies. No, ladies. That's inappropriate.
Ferda team.
Ferda team.
Ferda community.
Ferda friends.
Yeah,
we got shitty pronouns.
Going back to that, why it's so hard for Riley and Jonesy to say, "Hey, team."
Yeah,
they're dog shit. You know, they have never met someone who was gender neutral. So
true.
Oh God,
so,
we should
anyway,
see that, guys, on Letterkenny. Riley and Jonesy. Oh man, I don't know if I want to see that.
I know we do need a little bit more
exposure, diversity, exposure, diversity. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they've done
normalization.
So far.
Yes,
that's totally why I love Letterkenny.
Representation. That's the word I was looking for. Representation. So yeah, I do hope to see some genderqueer folks on the show.
I
at some
agree.
point. So yeah. Let's make that happen. Jacob and Jared. So that's all the Fuck Fight Ferdas. So let's go ahead and so real quick, we want to thank you for joining us. If there's anything else that you would like to plug, if you want to give your social medias, if you want to make that public or not, that's fine. But go ahead and if you have that, then spill it.
Yeah, just thank you so much as well. I'm just so honored and blessed to be your friends, for knowing you, for like I had mentioned earlier, the shout out to the Letterkenny community, and just my kind of theme here at the end was just, besides McMurray, who I think we all agreed universally fight, Ferda, and so.
Yeah, he's the only one we got to fight. He's the only one that everybody's fighting.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, so I don't want to plug my social media or anything. I mean, I know you. So
okay, that's totally fine.
You have any last thoughts, Katie, or remarks?
No, not really.
Thanks for being Canadian. And being you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds so ignorant. Thanks for being Canadian. You're like, thanks for being an American.
The American.
Oh, and by the way, I meant to say Happy Veterans Day. I know it's not Veterans Day quite yet, but
Veterans Day is tomorrow.
As of the recording, it's tomorrow.
Actually, when this drops, it will be my birthday. It will drop on my birthday.
Happy frickin' Womb Emancipation Day. Seriously. Yeah. Oh, that's so
exactly.
Yeah. Happy birthday. I hope you guys are great.
Ejected forth into the world.
Also, to all of my fellow Canadian and or UK listeners that there might be out there, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Remembrance Day as well.
Remembrance Day.
Yes.
So yeah.
Remember it.
Happy Remembrance Day. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you all for your service, for your dedication. It is priceless. And my gratitude is just unlimited. So yeah.
I just did it. I just did it for the girls.
We know you got you got the girl, so it worked out, huh?
That's what they said.
Not because of the military.
No, that's what it was for. It was
actually before I met Dean, I was very anti-military at all. I have softened up a lot about that since meeting him. Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm anti-government.
Okay.
I don't blame the guys who join the military.
Right.
It's, there's reasons to do it when you're poor and they're offering free school.
Which most of my friends who went into the military, that was
and also I started working for the DoD at 17. I'm not a veteran, but my ex-husband is Navy, and he said you think McMurray is a piece of shit, so that's all I'll say on that. But
we won't get into that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just making a joke there. But I just wanted to agree with you, Tiara, about I'm on your. Well, I'm further with you. Yeah, for the team. So.
Well, the thing is that what was it? As far as the Canadian military, I mean, I've always been a very, very big supporter. I mean, a huge portion of our disaster relief, a huge portion of anything that we need inside of the country, they're always there. So, as much as I might not be as much of a supporter of the American military, no offense.
Well, the American military isn't designed to help anything.
All right.
I have friends who work for the Red Cross and FEMA. I know what the military does in our emergency.
That's a different podcast.
The thing is that, to anybody out there serving in the Canadian military, I mean, we've been through some hard times and they've always been there to be able to help us out. Just last September, we ended up getting hit with the hurricane out in Nova Scotia. I was out in New Brunswick at the time, actually. And, it was just amazing to see the amount of response, the amount of effort, and the amount of support that we were able to get from the Canadian military, as well as, Hydro-Quebec and even the responses from the states as well to be able to help out with that. So,
Very cool.
Happy Remembrance Day. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to talking again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. So enjoy the rest of your trip. Have a great birthday and celebration.
Thank you very much. And you guys have a great rest of your weekend on this Sunday.
On this Sunday, yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. Take care now.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Hi. Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? We really appreciate that about you. If you could, we'd really love it if you would subscribe, give us a nice review. You can do that on either iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or on podchaser.com. We'd also like to thank our musical guest this week, Falak, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, for sharing their music on our intro and outro. You will be able to find all their info in our show notes. Thanks for listening again. We'll see you DJs next week. Bye-bye.